everyone, so as promised I'm going to be talking about the time of the Doctor, and this video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, please go and watch the episode before you watch my video. So as you can tell, I'm all TARDISed up for the occasion, but to be perfectly honest with you, I'm nowhere near as excited as what I thought I was going to be. This episode kind of let me down, and I know that's not just me, there are a lot of people who were quite disappointed by this episode. There were things in this episode which I really loved, and I will talk about them in a moment, which made it worthwhile. So that's fine. I haven't watched it thinking I've wasted my time. There were some good things in it. But I think part of the problem is that we're consciously or not going to be comparing this regeneration to the last one. And by the last one, I mean David Tennant. Tennant's not John Hurt's. And Tennant's regeneration episode was, phenomenal. There was nothing that could beat that. It was just done so perfectly, and it was really happy as well. In parts, it was quite a happy episode. This one, it is quite gloomy, which is nice because it evokes a lot of emotion, but I thought the plot was quite sloppy. I thought it was very fragmented in parts and chaotic, and not the good kind of chaotic where the pace is really fast and it gets your heart racing. I thought it was quite weak, and I thought the plot could have had a lot more to it. I thought there was a lot of kind of padding for me, and the main storyline itself could have been a good idea, but I don't think it was done very well. I suppose it was going to be kind of obvious that we were going to get a lot of the Doctor's enemies back, because this episode has to try and live up to Tennant's, and Tennant's was a big kind of creature fest, if you like. Remind me never to say that again. But, so we had a few back, the silence, I think, I welcomed the silence back. The brief moment we had with the Weeping Angels, I liked that. Having the Daleks and the Cybermen was inevitable, and it worked. Ordinarily, I would not like it when the same creatures keep recurring, but I think it worked, so that was fine. And then we have the crack in the wall, the cracking time. That was a surprise, and quite a nice surprise. It takes us back to the beginning of Matt's journey and how it all links together, and that was sweet. But all these little bits and pieces were just, I just don't think they were strong enough to make the episode good. There was something missing, and maybe you can tell me what that thing was, but I personally can't put my finger on what it was that is missing. But for me, it didn't deliver well enough. The creatures could have been so much more exciting. I wasn't scared at all. There was no moment where I thought I feel really tense, like something's going to happen. It was just going through the motions to get to the regeneration, which we knew was coming. Okay, so that's most of the negative things out of the way. As I said, there weren't that many negative things. It's just unfortunate that the negative things are quite strong aspects. A weak plot, in my opinion, is going to ruin most of the show. But never mind. Now for the good things, I think the music in this was brilliant. It's rare that I pay attention so much to the music in a Doctor Who episode, but this one really stood out, and I really like that. And there is a chance I'll probably go on iTunes or whatever and download a couple of the songs from it. The poem out of the Christmas Cracker I thought was really sweet. It was really nice how that kind of pushed us into the final part of the episode. I think that was a really nice transition. And of course, naked Matt Smith, and to think that he was naked essentially for half of the episode was very interesting. Similar lines to being naked, his bald head. It's part of me is a bit like, right, okay, but part of me is like, I'm really glad they've done that, because obviously we all know he'd shaved his head for another role, and a lot of us were like, well, how's he gonna be the Doctor? And the wig looked in the pictures I'd seen, the wig looked okay, but when I actually saw it, I thought that just looks stupid. It doesn't look like a wig. I'll confess, it doesn't look like a wig, but the style of hair just looks a little bit odd. It doesn't look like Matt Smith's usual hair, so never mind. But having that in there and actually pointing out that it was a wig was a nice little get out clause, just in case anybody happened to say that it looked stupid and looked unreal. They can say, well, we pointed out it's a wig. So I thought that was quite a nice little way they went around doing that. Having the older Doctor again was quite emotional. It's the same when Tennant's Doctor became really old in Series 3. It is quite an emotional thing to see the Doctor reaching what we think is the end of his journey. So I wouldn't have thought I'd like that aspect, but I think it was delivered very effectively. And the way they've got round the regenerations is fascinating. I didn't pick up on it at first. I had to ask somebody else how they got around the regeneration. It must have just been so quick that it was explained. I didn't catch it. And I think a lot of people have mentioned that it was quite a heavy, intense episode to be a Christmas episode. You have to really pay attention. Which, when you've stuffed yourself senseless on Christmas Day, you don't really want to have to be that alert. But never mind. So I think it's quite clever the way they've done that. The only bit that I think could have been emotional for me personally was when they brought back Karen Gillan and they had that 3-second moment together. It was nice. It was sweet. short-lived. I think had she been in it for maybe 10-15 seconds, it could have evoked a lot more emotion. I might have been reduced to tears. I welled up a little bit, but I didn't cry, whereas when David Tennant regenerated, I was bawling buckets, to be perfectly quite frank. But no, it was an average episode. It was not worthy of a regeneration episode. I don't think Matt Smith has gone out with a bang. However, I do think Peter Capaldi has entered with a bang. That split second where Matt Smith becomes Peter Capaldi blew me away, and that's one of the things why I think it was worth persevering for the entire episode, because that moment was wonderful. And he sounded like David Tennant, and I know I keep going on about David Tennant, but he is my doctor. We all have our doctors, and when the doctors relate to that specific doctor, it makes us happy. Like the Tom Baker fans loved it when Tom Baker came back. It meant little to me. But when Capaldi said, "I don't like the colour," I believe that's what he said in reference to his kidneys, he sounded so much like David Tennant, and his facial expressions were so much like David Tennant's doctor, that it was just a nice little moment, and I liked that. I'm looking forward to him. I'm really looking forward to him, which is a change of opinion, because when Tennant regenerated, I was not yet ready for Matt Smith's doctor, whereas I feel ready for Capaldi's doctor, and I'm excited to see what happens next. Not the best episode, not worthy of a regeneration episode, but it has nice little moments along the way. Let me know your thoughts on the time of the Doctor. Goodbye, Matt Smith. Yeah, I will miss him. I will miss him a lot, but looking forward to Capaldi, and let me know what you think, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!